Welcome to Kadampa podcasts. These podcasts offer practical solutions to daily challenges and help guide us to a happier and more peaceful state of mind. In each episode, you will find an extract from a teaching given by one of various Kadampa Buddhist teachers worldwide. All these teachings are inspired by the profound wisdom of Venerable Geshe Khalsang Gyatso Rinpoche, a Buddhist master for our time. We hope you enjoy listening.
So today we're actually starting a new series. So the previous series was looking at how to develop harmonious and meaningful relationships, and was really looking at the development of what we call the mind of cherishing love. And so the key point of the key to developing harmonious and meaningful relationships was really the emphasis on the meaningful bit. What we were basically looking at is, what is the purpose of our relationships, all of our relationships? What is the purpose of relating? So we can't help but relate. We live in a state of constant relating to others and to ourselves. What is the purpose? And essentially what that forces us to ask, and I know some of you just arrived and sat down, but here we are. What is the purpose of living? What are we doing? Maybe a good question for July the 4th. I don't know. Yeah, tomorrow we're celebrating, we might say, a relative freedom. A relative freedom from Great Britain. We're celebrating a certain amount of freedom, and actually we do have, certainly relative to so many other people in this world, extraordinary degree of freedom. What you gonna do with it? Freedom to do what? Watch stuff. Watch what you want to watch. Eat what you want to eat. Smell what you want to smell. Like, what's the purpose? So, from the Buddhist perspective, which is obviously the perspective we teach here, every single person, every single living being, in fact, without exception, is longing for happiness. All the time. Doesn't stop. There's no point where you're not longing for happiness. It's just in there, deep in our heart. It's just the natural, we say, primal wish within us, is the wish to be happy and the wish to be free from suffering. That's actually what induces us to do whatever it is that we do at any moment throughout the day. There's this underlying wish to be happy, and of course we get unhappy when we can't do what we think is going to make us happy, because we constantly want to be happy. And it's interesting because that constant wish to be happy is implying something about our current state, isn't it? Which is we're not happy. We're certainly not happy in the way that we want to be happy, because the happiness that we're all seeking is a continuous happiness. We want to be continually happy. I mean, maybe we don't even articulate that. We just think, hey, let's watch this. Hey, let's talk to this person. Hey, let's go here. Hey, let's do this. In other words, we're trying to find the ongoing experience of happiness by collecting a series of short-term happinesses, which sort of by definition isn't going to work. We're trying to find happiness essentially through stimulation, through stimulating ourselves in a variety of different ways, whether it be, taste stimulation, visual stimulation, tactile stimulation, whatever it may be, mental stimulation. But if your happiness is dependent upon stimulation, it's actually not real happiness. It's sort of Geshe Kelsang, our founder, my teacher, he would basically call it artificial happiness. It's sort of dependent upon an artifice, right? Bringing together certain causes and conditions that produce a stimulation, which to us takes us out of our kind of whatever experience of discontent or dissatisfaction we were having, and we're momentarily free from that. But once the stimulation ceases, or if the stimulation goes on for too long, we get unhappy. Have you ever been in one of those like amusement park rides that just goes on too long? It's like, this is fun. It's okay, off now. I'd like to go off now. And that's essentially what we're always trying to do. We're trying to we're like, our life basically consists of stimulation monitoring. A little bit, It's like trying to get the temperature right, A little too hot, a little too cold, a little too hot, a little too cold, whatever. And what Geshe Kelsang says, based on Buddha's teachings, is he says, there's a problem. We're looking for happiness from the wrong source. We're seeking happiness in the wrong place. Why? Why are we seeking happiness in the wrong place? Because we don't know where real happiness comes from. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? For all of our sophistication, for all of our centuries of philosophizing and scientific development and all these academic studies, people debating this and that, all the New York Times op-ed pieces, all this kind of stuff going on in our world, and we are fundamentally ignorant of how to fulfill our most primal wish. So good luck. We don't know where to find happiness. So this is where I think, we could say that. This is really this is where Buddha comes into the picture. This is where we actually need an enlightened perspective. So a Buddha means an enlightened being, someone who has accomplished enlightenment. Enlightenment means that they have removed all those obstructions from their mind that are obstructing them from seeing reality correctly. And it turns out the reason we don't know where happiness comes from, what is the actual source of happiness, is because of certain internal obstructions that we have. We call them the delusions, and principally the root delusion of ignorance that is actually causing us to misapprehend reality in the ways that we often talk about here. But it's just, I think, fascinating, really, that what enlightenment allows us to do, or what an enlightened being gives us the perspective on, is how to accomplish our main wish, how to find actual happiness. And the revelation, we might say, that Buddha gives us is really astounding from one perspective, in its simplicity. It's astounding in its simplicity. Because what Buddha's basically saying is, happiness is your nature. The very reason why we go around seeking happiness through artifice, right, through stimulation, people come up with all sorts of, weird and complicated ways to make themselves happy. I need this type of car. I need this type of situation. It's got to be a super yacht. I mean, whatever. All sorts of ways. Essentially trying to manipulate their externals, right? Essentially trying to manipulate their external conditions as if it's a chemistry experiment. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of accommodation with a little bit of job, with the right relationship, the right set of hobbies, the right, this. And it goes on and on and on, because at no point, is it like, I got it. Then you're down to, I need to adjust my toenails, I need to get the right dental plan, I need to do this, the list doesn't stop. Just trying, these days, just trying to work out your entertainment package is complicated. Because we're looking in the wrong place. What Buddha's saying is, if you, as we do here always, every time, if you just allow your mind to settle, there it is, happiness. Because, as Geshe Kelsang says, and I think most of you know, right? The first chapter in this book, How to Transform Your Life, the real source of happiness is inner peace. And inner peace, even there we complicate it. We're like, oh right, we know that, and that's why I need that house in the country next to the lake, and with the view, and I need the neighbors far away, too many leaf blowers, and on and on it goes. But inner peace is just something that arises just from allowing your mind to settle, giving yourself permission to not follow the blah, 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 the endless thinking about the external manipulation of your environment that our mind is doing in its pursuit of happiness. Just a little bit of breathing meditation, a little bit of allowing your mind to absorb inwards, and there it is. A peaceful mind. That insight then leads to the whole path to enlightenment. That basic insight is like Buddhism 101, It's that first step, because we say that what you're tuning into in that moment, when you allow yourself to experience a little bit of natural inner peace, not, medically induced inner peace, that little bit of natural inner peace, we call it your Buddha nature. We're basically saying that is your potential for an even greater peace. And in fact, for an all-pervasive experience of peace and happiness, because that peace is the nature of happiness. In other words, you can fulfill your wish. You can fulfill your most basic, deepest, most primal wish for happiness. Not just a temporary happiness hit, not a momentary dipping into that inner peace, but eventually through practice, through nurturing that potential, nurturing those insights, they will become your constant. They will become your natural state of being. And you will be a person who is pervaded by an ongoing natural happiness. Totally relaxed, not hyped up. So you may think, okay, that sounds great, but it's just very theoretical. And of course, I would basically say, no, it's not theoretical. This is the experience, obviously of Buddha, but then of generation upon generation upon generation upon generation of practitioners. This is certainly my experience of having had the good fortune, the extraordinary good fortune, to have spent time with Venerable Geshe Kelsang. To me, and basically everyone I know who's spent any time with him, there are many impressions one might get, but one of them is that he how to say it? Well, basically when you would meet him, you would realize there's something different about this man. He's not just having a good time in the way that we have a good time. Like we're having a good time when we're doing something. He's just pervaded by happiness, as if he'd been pickled in it or something like that, like just there, like just through his being. He didn't have to do something to be happy. Like if you go see him, you wouldn't be like, hey, try these olives. It wasn't. It was just shining off him. Radiant, really, a radiant happiness. Anyway, why am I saying all this? Because we need to understand, we need to put our relating to one another inside a bigger context. Otherwise, what happens is we're seeking happiness in the relationship. We want the relationship to give us happiness, which actually means, if you think about it, you're putting kind of a burden on the other person. I need you to make me happy. I'm incapable on my own, so could you just always act in the way that I want? I'm not asking a lot, just that you always do what I want you to do, And that's when our relationships then turn into a kind of tug of war, like an emotional tug of war where, and some days you're kind of letting the rope out a little bit, but other days you're pulling back in, and so it goes, and then you die. And that was that life, spent seeking happiness in a place where there was no happiness to be found.
If you feel inspired by this podcast, then dive deeper into timeless wisdom of modern Kadampa Buddhism by following the link in the episode description. We look forward to reconnecting with you in the next episode of Kadampa Podcasts.